Okay.
Today on the Surviving the Human Experience podcast, we will be taking a journey with an amazing woman who is on a mission to assist others with reclaiming their health and optimizing their overall wellness. She's doing this by sharing her powerful story and educating others on how holistic wellness can have a profound impact on your health. And today we're going to talk about gut health. So I'm excited to welcome back Dr. Wendy Holland to our show. So welcome back.
Howdy.
Yes.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Yes, and before we jump in, for those who didn't get to listen to her first episode, I am going to just share a quick bio about Dr. Wendy before we get started. So, Dr. Wendy Holland, she has a lot of acronyms after her name. She has DNP, MPH, FNP-BC, APRN, a nurse practitioner whose life is an epic saga of compassion, grit, and transformative impact. Armed with a doctorate from Duke University and dual master's degrees from Johns Hopkins, Wendy's academic prowess is rivaled only by her audacious quest to revolutionize healthcare. As the visionary behind Liberty Advanced Integrative Care in Charlestown, she's up in Rhode Island, she's crafted a sanctuary where patients don't just heal, they soar. So after a 32-year odyssey spanning continents, from delivering care in underserved African villages in Tanzania to empowering urban Native Americans in Seattle and shaping U.S. healthcare policy, she's a Navy wife and mother. She's mastered the art of turning military life chaos into opportunities for service, and her direct pay clinic embodies her fearless mantra: healthcare must be personal, proactive, and deeply human. Patients don't just see Wendy, they join a vibrant movement towards wellness. A second generation educator, Dr. Holland pours her soul into mentoring future nurse practitioners. She urges them to seize opportunities and lead with love for their patients, themselves, and their communities. Living with chronic medical conditions, Wendy has faced gaslighting and dismissal from her medical peers, experiences that ignite her mission at Liberty Advanced Integrative Care. To find the care she needed, she has to be seen and heard, a promise she now fulfills for every patient, ensuring they feel valued and empowered. From confronting global health crises to celebrating each patient's progress, Wendy's work is a masterclass in impact. She's not just a provider, she's a storyteller, a mentor, and a force of nature, championing every patient's right to author their own comeback. So connect with her at Liberty Advanced Integrative Care or Norwich University, where she's shaping the future one life at a time. And we will provide all of her contact information at the show for those of you who want to reach out to her. So again, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks.
Yes. So our last discussion a few months ago was on the quest to revolutionize healthcare. Today we're going to
Mhm.
dive into a hot topic that's gained a lot of attention in the health and excuse me, health and wellness space for the past few years, which is gut health. So we're going to start with just the general overview of gut health. It's really a hot topic, as I mentioned. So much information as well as misinformation out about
Heck
this
yeah.
important topic. Yeah, a lot of misinformation. So let's just start off by having you define for our listeners what is gut health and what makes up gut health in the body.
So like the derpy way to say it is if you have a healthy gut, then you have gut health, which is very dismissive. And that's where a lot of people go. They just like, oh, I have a good gut. I poop every day. Life is great. But
Mhm.
there's so much more than that. So what goes on the inside of you goes on the outside of you. And if you think about it, you're just a gigantic tube. You're a big straw from your mouth to your behind. So if you've got something going on the outside, there's a better than average chance you have it going on the inside. And the reverse is true. If you've got stuff going on the inside, you also have it going on the outside. So having a good gut and having good gut health impacts every single thing. There is no system in the body where it doesn't touch. It touches your neurology system, touches your cardiac system, it touches your pulmonary system, your liver, and your skin, which most people don't think of. Your skin and your gut are related, so it
Mhm.
touches everything. And so often between the food we eat, the things we're exposed to in the community, antibiotics, which everybody dumps on them as the big perpetrator of bad gut things. No offense, antibiotics are life saving. Like that was like one of the reasons why in the 50s and the 60s, like all of a sudden people who should have died did not. So
Mm.
we can't dump on those, but they have a place. And it's not every place, everybody, every time, everywhere. Sometimes we use too much of them. Sometimes we clobber people with antibiotics, and we shouldn't have. We should have taken a different approach. And so, as a result, a very fragile and rapidly turning over system gets hampered by good intentions and by just individual choices. Like, you can't tell me that the person who's eaten, salads and good meats has a worse gut than somebody who's eaten Fritos and pizza every day. Like,
Mm,
there's and stuff and Monster and all that kind of crap.
yeah.
But every single thing I'm about to say all comes with an asterisk, because what is good for you, what is good for me, what is good for my neighbor down the road might be absolutely garbage for my sister, for my husband, for whomever. So it's
Mm,
very, the one thing about gut health, it is very individualized, because every day, everything you do, it changes. Like, I was in Mexico for a week and my gut was different when I came back. I knew my gut was different. I was there for business.
mm-hmm.
For people who do international stuff, who travel to multiple countries, like, they leave and they come home and they've been to 6 or 7 countries, their gut doesn't even look anything like when they left. So the gut is very, very personal. So
Mm. Wow. So I was going to ask you, in your opinion, why is gut health important? And you definitely started to go there.
yeah, it's incredibly important. It's not, it's an easy fix and it's not an easy fix. Like like I said, everything with this comes with an asterisk. Like, we can identify what's wrong. There's tons of testing out there. And most of them are functional tests. Like, the best tests are going to be functional. I mean, a colonoscopy is great. Nobody wants one of those, but it's a great test. And so is an upper GI, where they put the camera in your mouth and look down at your stomach. Like, that's putting your eyeballs on a place where we can't normally get to, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you need more than just that. You can't see the bacteria, especially if you've had like a colonoscopy clean out, or you can't see the inflammation, or the fact that you just ate pizza. And I'm going to dump on pizza a lot, because pizza is like a triple threat. So it's wheat, it's dairy, and it's a nightshade. For me, that's my personal kryptonite. I can't eat it. And
Mm-hmm.
if I do, I can have like one piece, and then I'm going to pay for it later. But so I end up being snobby about it. But everybody's got some of those foods that blows their guts up, or gives them diarrhea, or totally blocks them up. So
Mm-hmm.
it's again, it's very individualized. It's very important, because again, what goes on the inside, it's going on the outside.
Mm. And I think something that you pointed out earlier that's really important to think about is that it changes, right? Depending on where you are, the types of foods you're exposed to, the environment you're in. So, a snapshot today is not going to be the same snapshot you're going to see, tomorrow or a week from now or a month. It's something that
It can
shifts.
even
So,
change in 24 hours. If you're like, I'm going to fast today for whatever the reason, religious,
hmm
I just want to do
hmm
it, everybody's fasting, blah, blah, blah. Your
right.
gut will not be the same in 24 hours. So you went nowhere, you ate nothing, and
hmm
yet your gut changed. So it's subtle and profound. Like, everything is like contradiction when it comes to the gut, because it changes all the time.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that makes it even more complicated.
Very complicated. It is probably one of the number one complaints I have from my patients, and and it takes a while to fix, because you have to do a couple of assessments, and then you have to sort of tell the patient, this is what we see now. And it doesn't mean that's what we're going to see coming up. And as we start to change things, your symptoms become as important as what the lab says. So if the lab says you've got, this kind of bacteria and this kind of integrity, and then we start to change things, we have to keep that in mind. But it's not condemning. It's not, that's not what it's always going to be. It's not like blue eyes. Like, you've got blue eyes since the day you showed up, you have blue eyes till you die.
hmm
That's not how this works with the gut, because everything changes so much. So
Mm. So can you share with us some of the common themes that you're seeing in clients across your health and wellness industry in regards to gut health? Are there certain things that just continuously pop up?
yeah, so the amazing propensity for people to collect food allergies and intolerances like Pokemon cards. Like, everybody, I mean, and this includes me, everybody's got some sort of food that they're like, I can't touch that. It makes
Mm-hmm.
me sick. It makes me bloating. Oh my God, everybody's got bloating. It makes me
Mm-hmm.
bloated. It makes me farty.
Mm-hmm.
I can't poop. So, like, food intolerances, belly pain, random belly pain. Like, you'll get the,
Mm-hmm.
I have belly pain, and they like are generalize. Every once in a while, you get the person with the finger and goes, I have belly pain right here, and they can touch
Mhm.
it. That's a completely different kind of a belly pain.
Okay.
Or, my husband and I went out and ate the same thing and he's fine. And I feel like I got punched in the gut. Like, why, if we're similar, even though we're not the same
Hmm.
person or even the same gene pool, why is it he's fine and I'm not?
Right.
And then like, don't even get me started with women and their guts, because our hormones change every day. So it actually impacts our guts. So you have to take that into account. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it's not easy. And again, belly pain probably being number one, followed by incredible amount of food, not allergies like hives and need an EpiPen, but like I can't eat that. I feel like garbage intolerances, sort of the
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Wow. So
it's
it's
a lot.
interesting, yeah, that you mentioned even with women and the hormones, or if somebody, God forbid, ends up with food poisoning, or some
Mhm.
some illness that just completely derails the
So the
um
average American gets food poisoning 4 times a year.
Mhm.
That's in the
Wow.
public health literature. That's been
Wow.
very And I'm not talking like, salmonella and you can't leave the bathroom because you don't know which end to put in the potty. Like
Sure.
you eat something and you're like, huh, I feel like trash. And then like next time you go to the bathroom, it's not your different. They're not your
Yeah.
same. It's different. That counts. Or you can have the great, like I got salmonella. I mean, I've had all sorts of food poisons.
Hmm.
But
Yes.
I had hemorrhagic salmonella. We had to call in the artillery because I was like, I am bleeding out of places where blood is not supposed to come out of. I need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Wow. Four
mhm,
times a year, that is pretty intense.
mhm,
And you never know where it's going to come from. It could be, from eating out, or vegetables or fruits that aren't washed properly or cleaned, or just, meats, things like that. So, wow, 4 times a year.
and
Okay.
well-intentioned people sometimes try and kill you on accident. So,
Yes, yes. Yeah, I can recall about a year and a half ago, and I'm quite sure it was the cilantro I ate, ending up with the worst stomach experience ever, and ended up not walking for a good couple weeks after, because it was like,
mm,
now pumping medications in and pumping the different things and colonoscopies and the whole 9 yards, and it's nothing to
mhm,
fool around with. So definitely, if
mm-mm,
if people have, experiences like that, seek the proper attention to get that fixed,
mhm.
because it can go
Yep,
sideways really quickly.
very
So,
quickly. Yeah, totally.
yeah. So it's been said that the gut is our second brain. We hear that a lot. It's just kind of the newest fad and saying out there. But can you elaborate on this, or allegedly fad, right? Because we do know that it does have some truth to it. So, can you elaborate
Absolutely
on
not a
this?
fad.
Yeah, and can
Absolutely
you,
not a fad.
yeah,
Yeah.
talk to
So
us.
the gut brain connection is direct. In fact, some people say that the vagus nerve is the highway between the gut and the brain, like
Okay.
a I-5 or 95.
Uh-huh.
Bacteria can run up and down it, and so can their signaling. The majority of neurotransmitters are made in the gut. So, and when you have a gut feeling, that's legit. And you've had a ton
Mm.
of experience with this.
Yes.
So most of the neurotransmitters are made in your gut. So if your gut is all messed up, you're gonna have bad messaging. Not because, you're not paying attention, or not because you're a bad person or your life is bad, but the context with which your neurotransmitters are being developed and housed in is corrupt. And so that's one of the reasons why you have to be mindful of your gut, because your brain depends on it.
Mm.
um yeah, so that's you and a lot of times we will fire things down there that will disrupt neurotransmitters like psych meds or something like that, and
Mm.
then now we not only disrupted the psych med development or the neurotransmitter development, but now we've messed with our gut, so it's like a two hit. So it's not direct.
Ooh, this just got so complicated.
It is so complicated and so dirty. So
So complicated and so dirty. It's definitely an inside job for sure.
yeah,
Oh my.
yeah.
Okay, so now if we have this happening where we have all of this misfiring of these neurotransmitters, like, what are some of the ways that you balance that? How can somebody even begin to even unpack any of that?
So the way to start, if you've got belly pain or you're like, I just don't feel right, like start with your PCP, somebody who knows you. Like start with somebody. And the problem right now with healthcare is that everybody's getting these 15-minute wham bam thank you ma'am appointments. So
Yes.
you developing that relationship when you go to your provider and go, I don't know what's wrong, but I am not right. And having
Mm-hmm.
somebody walk that with you is gotten much harder. But I would still say start with your PCP and hopefully you've got a
Mm-hmm.
good relationship with them. If you haven't had a colonoscopy, I know it's one of those tests nobody wants to have because nobody wants a camera in their bum, but you can start
Mm-hmm.
there. You can start with some basic testing that is not at most primary care clinics, where you can do, for example, like a GI map, or there's a vibrant gut zoomer, and then there is like the GI spotlight. These are poop tests.
Okay.
So they give you the kit at home. You basically are given a tube. You put some poop in it that you've captured, and there's usually some sort of contraption that they give you so that it doesn't hit the water. You want clean poop,
Mm-hmm.
and you send it off, and then it comes back with bacteria, fungus, integrity markers, H. pylori, basically telling you how good is your gut. And from that, and then some basic labs. So do you have inflammation? We can check that. Have we looked at a calprotectin, which is it's a blood test where we can look at what's going on in your gut. We can actually do it in poop too, but
Mm-hmm.
a blood test is so fast. Like you just go and have your blood drawn. You're going to have your blood drawn for anything anyways. So sometimes we'll start with that, and then sitting down and sort of with your provider, your functional med doc, whatever, and sort of doing like the great analysis, like what is
Mm-hmm.
going on, looking at inflammatory markers, looking at vitamins, minerals, blood counts, because like sometimes the errors with your gut are subtle because you're taking an iron supplement, for example, and yet that number is not moving, like, so you're
Mm-hmm.
not absorbing it. So what is the
Mm-hmm.
impediment there? Or your inflammatory markers are way out in orbit. So not only is your gut mad, but now your psoriasis is showing up and your eczema is showing back up. Like what is
Mm-hmm.
going on there? So it's that sort of subtle stuff. You can't sit there and be like, silo yourself and be like, I'm just going to look at this. You've got to have somebody who's willing to sort of spread the data out on the table, going, okay, these are fine, like,
Mm-hmm.
and this and this is wrong, and we need to go chase that down. So does that mean we need to do more testing? Does it mean I need to send you to a specialist? So it is never a one stop. And if anybody tells you it's a one stop, they're pulling your leg. You can't do it as a one stop. It takes a while because
Okay.
it's not easy. And what, again, going back to the what your gut is and what my gut is and your husband's and my husband and your neighbors, they're
Mm-hmm.
all different. And so
Mm-hmm.
somebody's got gut pain because they ate an apple, and I've got gut pain because I ate an orange, doesn't mean those are the same kind of gut pains, because it's
Mm.
different things and I'm a different person and my gut
Sure.
bacteria is different than yours.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it is probably one of the things. There's actually books written just on abdominal pain, like
Mm-hmm.
no other symptom, just
Mm-hmm.
on abdominal pain, like how to do the
Mm-hmm.
workup. So
Yeah, and
it's
we haven't
that.
even touched things like Crohn's or irritable bowel syndrome or colitis or any of the things that.
Well, and that doesn't even touch the fact that some people have gut issues that are contextual. Like I hung out with my in-laws or whatever. I have a gut pain with that. I'm not with them. I'm fine.
Mhm.
Or, I got 4 hours of sleep. My gut's all screwed up for the next 24 hours, but I got 8 hours on the weekend and I'm totally fine. Like it's those sort of inconsistent things that happen. So
Yeah.
it's, again, and the pattern, like taking a record, like keeping a diary of food and symptoms and sleep and all that junk
Mhm.
gets it a little bit better, because then you get more data to sort of chew it all up. But
Mhm.
it's hard.
Yeah, it sounds like going on a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, and everybody wants a pill. Like, here's a pill, get lost. Like,
Right.
here's some
Right.
Prilosec, here's some Pepcid. You just have indigestion.
Yeah.
Eat more fiber. Or go meditate. Go do some yoga. Like,
Yes.
if I didn't
Yes.
hear that one, I heard it 100
Yes.
times from my
Channel the
patients.
inner
My doctor told
peace.
me, yeah, yeah. Go do some yoga, or here's some Prozac. Like the
Mhm.
Prozac, because all the neurotransmitters down there. It
Yeah.
also says that the psych meds will help your gut, and there are psych meds when that is absolutely the treatment. But
Mhm.
again, it's the whole. Sometimes you go to your doc and they just want to give you something because they want to feel like they did something. So here's the
Right.
Prozac. Like, and I
Right.
get that phenomenon, but it's okay to say, I don't know, we need more data, which is probably
Mhm.
what my poor patients hear all the time because I'm a data nerd. And
Yeah.
but by the time I get to the point where I've made a summative statement, I'm pretty close to what's going on. And at least we can start
Mhm.
to go in the direction of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so you're not shooting in the dark because again, if you've only got a few minutes with a patient, then there isn't usually enough time or a client to
mhm,
assess really the big picture. So another
mhm,
term that comes up a lot when speaking about gut health is the microbiome. So for our
mhm.
listeners who are, trying to understand what does that mean, can you talk a little bit more about what the microbiome is and how it ties into the overall discussion of gut health?
So you are more bacteria than you are you cells. So there is the current statistics is there's 1.3 bacteria cells on you compared to every one cell of you. So they have a third percent advan or 33% above you.
Hmm.
So there's more bacteria than there are you, which is why it's so important. So if you've got, again, if you had salmonella, for example, now you have all this extra salmonella running around in your gut. So what do salmonella do to your neurotransmitters? What does salmonella do to your skin integrity? Because it's irritated every darn thing in your gut. So that's all mad. So your microbiome is the abundance, the community of bacteria in there, and it's not one agent. It's an absolute metropolitan city of little dudes and running around in there doing good things and bad things.
Hmm.
And that's the microbiome in a nutshell. It can be viruses, it can be bacteria, it can be phages, it can be molds. It's a ton of stuff. On top of, you ate a hamburger and there's cheese in there and coffee and whatever.
Hmm.
There's a ton of stuff in there. So the microbiome is the abundance of little critters running around in there.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. Things just keep getting more complicated.
Yep.
So now that we've laid the framework for gut health, the microbiome, our second brain, understanding the vagus nerve being that highway between the brain and the gut. Let's talk about
Mhm.
tools and tips. Let's give people some inspiration on this complicated conversation. Um, what are some of the things that people can do to support their gut health, just at the most basic level?
So the most basic level starts with, okay, you remember, from your mouth to your bum, you're a big tube. So the
Mhm.
first level starts with washing your hands because everything you put in your mouth goes now took all that bacteria with it. So if you
Mhm.
went to the gym and didn't wash your hands afterwards, and then you picked up that toast and put it in your face, everybody who touched those weights, be it they scratched their bum, they have a wart on their hand, they stuck their finger in their ear, all that
Mhm.
bacteria is now all on your toast and you just stuck it in your face. So
Ugh.
wash your hands. And I have a friend. This here's an odd story. So a friend of mine in college, she used to go to the gym all the time, and she ended up getting herpes virus of the eyeball. And she's
Oh
like, I
wow.
don't have her. Like and I don't have a partner. She's like, I have no reason for this. And then
Yeah.
going through with her doctor and all the things, they're like, they think that she caught it from the gym, that she
Mm.
touched the equipment and then stuck her finger in her eye and did that. So
Oh.
like, wash your dang hands, kids.
I'm
You
glad you
don't have to
said
go.
that. I literally just went to the gym before we got on here to do this podcast. And before I left the gym, I went to the bathroom and I'm like, let me scrub the heck out of my hands. And then I did it again when I got home because I'm like, oh,
I
so
have
many people touch
sanitizer
this
in my
stuff.
car that I use, like after I go touch the gas pump, if I go
Yeah.
to the gym, I do that first, and then I go at home and then like wash my hands. So like the sanitizer will kill a lot of the bacteria, and then soap and water removes the bacteria. So
Okay.
that's why you want to get it off your body. So it starts
Mhm.
with washing your hands. So then the next one comes, okay, so where's the next dirty place? Your mouth. Like brush your teeth,
Mhm.
floss your teeth, like do the things, and that also applies to your sinuses. So your sinuses all drain into your gut. And for some people, they've got gut problems because they have weird bacteria in their sinuses that just drains into the back of their throat.
Wow.
So like when I travel, because I traveled last month, I have an iodine spray that I use up my nose because I don't want all the yuck that's in the airplane to now contaminate me. I don't know where that guy's been. I don't know what he's been up to, but I don't want it.
Mhm. Right.
So your mouth and your nose all drain back into your throat and then go into your stomach. So then it comes down to, okay, so after that, it comes down to chewing, and when you're done, chew. So a lot of times we're eating so fast because we got all these things to do and we're eating between work. So we chew, and two or three times and we swallow. And every one of us has swallowed something, every like a potato chip or something, and you're like, oh, it's going down hard. And you can like feel it going down the whole way because you chewed it twice and it's
Uh-huh.
still mostly intact. Like that will not get more macerated, more broken up to get out of your stomach for longer. The whole you have to chew. So in your mouth, whatever you ate just mixes with amylase. So that's in your saliva. Amylase deals with carbohydrates. So amylase will break down carbs. So that sometimes while if you ever eat like something with candy or something, you all of a sudden have a lot of spit or like even gum, you'll have like a whole lot of spit initially. That's the amylase in your mouth doing its job. So then now you swallow that and you've got your whole esophagus to deal with. Now your esophagus, um, your poor little esophagus has to deal with bringing food down and not bringing it back up. So
Mhm.
there's a sphincter at the top of the stomach to keep everything down there. So you want to keep that one okay, and you want to, and as a result, you also want to keep the acid in your stomach. You want to make sure that you're not taking tons of antacids, which then decreases your ability to chemically break your food. So up here, you're physically breaking your food. You're chewing it all up. And in your stomach, you're starting to chemically break it up. So that poor potato chip that went down hard now is going to bang around in there for a while longer than it would have because this it has no low amount of surface area compared to had you chewed it, it would have a lot of surface area for the amylase to work.
Mm.
So then after that, it's preserved. So now you have to preserve your gut acid.
Okay.
So that means don't take lots of Tums, don't take lots of
Mm.
Prilosec, don't take a lot of those PPIs, and they pass those out like Skittles. You're
Yes,
not
they
supposed
do.
to be on those for, yeah, you're not supposed to be on those forever. So not putting things in your mouth is the first barrier, and well, washing your hands. Not putting things in your mouth is the first barrier, but the second barrier to having good integrity is that acid bath. If and the pH of that is like 1 to 2, it's very low. And so if you put a whole bunch of things in there to raise that up because the reflux is killing you when it goes up your esophagus, you now
Mhm.
have allowed any bacteria that will tolerate that moderate acid level to get through. So if you eat something like I don't know what is I don't want to say I don't want to dump on like McDonald's or Burger King, but if you eat someplace where it potentially could be more suspicious, and oh by the
Mhm.
way, you're on Prilosec, and now your second barrier is now violated, whatever was in that, and good intentions, like you took the meds you want to be a good
Mhm.
patient, but like
Sure.
now that thing is now put the rest of your gut at risk because once it gets past your stomach, it's a whole different ball of wax down there.
Mm.
So, because now the pH went from 1 to 2, and then the pancreas dumps a whole bunch of enzymes in there to raise the pH so that way you can start to absorb
Okay.
what you ate. So, we physically broke it up. Now we're chemically breaking it up, and now we're getting ready to absorb it. So, it is again, this is complicated, the whole
Yeah,
gut thing.
I was going to say it's
So,
not simple.
so now you've fired down all this food down there, and now it's going to be chemically broken up further. So we're going to raise the pH, add more enzymes for the pancreas. We're going to add basically detergents from the
Hmm.
gallbladder.
Hmm.
So that's going to break up the fats. So we're breaking up the carbohydrates. This acid breaks up more proteins, and then the pancreas dumps out a whole bunch of stuff that sort of breaks up everything. The gallbladder then adds a whole bunch of things in there like detergents, and everything starts to just keep getting broken up and getting ready to be absorbed. And that's where all the antibiotics start to hit the gut. So now you've got all these little in the intestinal lining, all these little cells that all sit shoulder to shoulder, and on the
Hmm.
end of them is cilia, like it looks like fur, and it
Okay.
increases the surface area for absorption. So you want it to be tight. You want everybody to be shoulder to shoulder because you want the
Hmm.
cells to do the job as the bouncer for your gut. But if
Mm.
you fire down a whole bunch of antibiotics, or you drink a whole bunch of alcohol, or you don't get good sleep, or you've fired a whole bunch of other medications down that affect the gut, what happens is that these cells gap. So now that hamburger that was supposed to go through the bouncer to get packaged to get absorbed, because once it gets through the intestinal cells, it goes to the liver and the liver does its job. But if it gaps, now all the food, your hamburger just hit your immune system. And without any bouncer, without anybody saying, you need to package that or that's garbage, we need to get that out of here, it
Mm.
just went right on through. So now it's hit
Mm-hmm.
your immune system. So now you're putting yourself at risk for autoimmune conditions because your body's like, well, that's not me, and I need to go attack that. So now your guts are all mad. So now they're inflamed. So you've got gapped out cells. Their only resort that they can do is now get swollen and get fat. And they will decrease the length of the cilia. So now they'll blunt the cilia. So that way less stuff can get through because it's all gapping through here. And now you've got an immune response. You're not absorbing your food. We don't know how to stop the enzyme activity from overdoing it or not doing it enough. And that's just in the small intestine. And as a result from all that nonsense, you end up with weird bacteria in inappropriate relations, small bacterial overgrowth, also called SIBO. So you end
Mm-hmm.
up with that going on. And then and that's the small intestine is sort of the snaky part in the middle when you look at a
Mm-hmm.
picture of the intestines in the middle. And then all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, it attaches to the large intestine, right where the appendix is, and then the large intestine comes around. The large intestine then packages up and pulls out the water, pulls out some nutrients. And if everything that came down there was all chaos and swollen and full of mucus because it's inflamed,
Mm-hmm.
now the gut has this whole new thing. The large intestine now has to deal with that. It doesn't necessarily like mucus. It wants
Mm,
less mucus. And the
right.
mucin layer that was on the small intestine was super thick because it was trying to protect itself. And that's where all the bad guys hide. It now all fired down to the large intestine. And so the large intestine is like, what the heck do I do with this? And several things can happen to include everything gets fired, eject, eject, eject out the anus, get it
Mm-hmm.
out of here. So that's when you get the I have to find a bathroom right now,
Mm-hmm.
or your large intestine gets inflamed. This is where we have Crohn's. This is where we have diverticulitis. This is puts you at risk for
Mm,
colon cancer. So the whole nine yards. And then you get down to the rectum, and the rectum's like, okay, I don't know what to do with all of this. It's not the way I want it to be packaged. I'm just going to get it all out of here. So, and then all that whole process, all through it with one insult after another can inflame the whole system. And
mm-hmm.
it's the myopia of healthcare currently can be like, oh, you just have diverticulitis. Oh, you just have, inflammation of a single diverticula, because that's what we saw with the colonoscopy, without taking into account that everything from your mouth to your behind is at least minimally irritated, which we don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to really pick up on that. Or we've
Sure.
got this part's really mad, but then like this part's not, and then this part's really mad, and this part's not. We
Mm-hmm.
can't capture that as a
Mm-hmm.
whole entity. You can be one more than one gut thing, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all just looks like pissed off guts. Just look like
Mm-hmm.
mad intestines, mad stomach, mad
Yeah.
this, your gallbladder's grumpy, you got a stone blocking or not, you got a
Mm-hmm.
pancreas that's working its full head off trying to do all the things. Your appendix will sometimes be like a colicky appendix, and it'll get mad, and then all of a
Yep.
sudden it'll be fine.
We got gut rage, not road rage. We got gut
Got gut
rage.
rage. And you also got to remember, like, unless there's a reason to remove something in your body like that, you were not issued extra organs. I have a
Right.
patient right now who we're working her gut problem, and I've sent her to GI, and they've done all the tests, and they're like, well, we don't think it's your gallbladder, but we can just go in and take it out. And I looked at her and I was like, you were not given extra stuff. Like, you don't
Mm-hmm.
have two gallbladders. There are people who
Right.
have two spleens. I've heard of that.
Right.
But you weren't given extra stuff. And you know full well they take your gallbladder, your appendix is gone too, because they just want to prevent more issues.
Mm-hmm.
So don't do
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow. All right. That was a lot of information. And
it's
yes.
and that's like the Cliff Note version. Like, you
Yeah.
can just
No,
talk
no,
for
that was,
hours about the appendix.
yes. Yes. No, that was great. So you mentioned a little bit about some of your go-tos, but can you give us a little bit about your favorite go-tos that you use for your own personal gut health?
Like tests or things that I take.
Just things that you do in your daily life and just being aware
Okay.
of gut health and just looking for little ways you can incorporate certain things into your world so that you can prevent some of the catastrophic things from
Sure.
happening. Hmm.
So one of the things I do is I'm very this sounds so flip, but I'm very mindful of how I eat. But I am. I have food intolerances, so I did a food allergy testing,
Hmm.
and I found the things that make me irritated. Like, and there
Okay.
were things on there I didn't even know. Like, I don't eat olives. That came back as one, but man, do I use olive oil. Oh,
Mm,
okay, cool. One of
right.
the other things that came back was like kiwis and bananas. And I
Mm,
was like, well, kiwis are gross. I don't really like them. And I like bananas, but I don't really eat them that often. But I'm in
Right.
healthcare. They're both rubber tree plants, and I live in a world of latex.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, every vaccine you get and all sorts of medicines that are injectable come with rubber lids. Oh my
Mm,
gosh, I have to change that. Like, am I exposing myself to something? So
right.
you don't have to I mean, you can go to an allergist and get the 17 million pricks on your back and you will feel like garbage because
Mm-hmm.
that if you have a lot of food allergies, that is a big immune solicitation going on there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
all the little red bumpies, you'll just be itchy and you'll feel like trash. It'll be a very big immune insult. But
Mm-hmm.
if you need to do something very specific, you're like, I think I'm allergic to mahi mahi, or you want to discriminate out, am I allergic to mollusks or bivalves, like lobsters or oysters?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go to the allergist, get that teased out if you really want to do that. But a food intolerance test where we look at IgE antibodies can be good enough to at least start to give you guidance of the things to avoid. And it's on a spectrum, red, yellow, green. So the green things are fine and the red things are don't touch it. And the yellow things are like maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you start with that, get the food allergy testing, they're pretty cheap. They're generally less than $300, and there's several dozen companies out there doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
one of the ones I use has 208 different antigens. Like if you can't
Wow.
find foods and 208 different antigens, that's like a bucket test.
Yeah.
Like that's cheaper than going to the allergist. So you get that report back, and then you go, okay, well, I can eat the following things. I can eat these. And so do an elimination diet. And this is casual, $200, 200 to $300 out of your pocket. And now you can like start to turn the tide. Unless you want to start doing like food home experiments, which could be
Right.
expensive and annoying
Mm-hmm.
and make your kitchen a mess and make your spouse mad. This is
Yes.
very quick. It's a draw, or it's like a prick your finger and put it on the card and send it in. Super easy. So then after that, if you're like, okay, I've pulled out all the foods that I think make me crazy, I think I want more advanced testing. So you can go get a colonoscopy. Everybody over 40 should get a colonoscopy. I unfortunately have had friends that have died from colon cancer who were 40s and 50s, and I've had friends who've survived, and thank God they did. So nobody wants a camera in their bum. Please just go get a colonoscopy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes it. And if your gut is good, you only have to get it every couple years. So get a colonoscopy and have somebody look. So then the next thing you're like, it's not going anywhere. So then get a poop test there's half a dozen different flavors of poop tests, varying from like $350, $400 to like the bougie $1,000 test, where it's
Mm-hmm.
multiple over multiple days. Get the test. Let's see who's in there. Let's see who's not in there. Let's see what the ratio is. Let's see what you're missing. I've had several of my patients, when we do this test, they come back with the strangest things. And so
Mm-hmm.
now, where oftentimes if you come to a functional doc, we think, herbs, twigs, and berries are the things that are going to
Yeah.
remove that. I've had some people who come back with some wackadoo bacteria where it's like, we have no choice but to give you antibiotics. There's no other effective way to get this out of your system. And then, oh,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, if they're coming to me, they usually have 6 or 7 other things going on. So now I've got to take all that into account. Can we even give you that antibiotic? Is that going to set
Yeah.
one of your other conditions off? If that's the case, then we got to come up with a new way. So it's the triaging, skinning the cat.
Mm-hmm.
So once you've done at least the food allergy testing, you've had a colonoscopy, and you've looked at the poop. Now it's like, okay, now what? Like stop right there for a little bit and see what happens, because nothing in your gut is going to change overnight either. Like if on the first you do the poop test, you get the results back in a week, and for the rest of the next 30 days you eat how you're supposed to, you might be at the end of 30 days just starting to see a difference, even
Mm-hmm.
though the cells in your gut turn over faster than anywhere else in your body. That's why when you like bite the inside of your cheek and your mouth, it heals very quickly. If you did the same lesion on your hand, it would take days. In your mouth, 48 hours or less, depending upon how hard you bit yourself, that'll
Sure.
mostly heal.
Okay.
So start there, and then it kind of
Yeah.
goes down to, well, then what? Like,
Right.
do you need to have more invasive testing? Do we need to do a swallow test? Do we need to do you
Mm.
need a CAT scan? Do you need an ultrasound? I kind of, most of the time I start with an ultrasound because that's low tech, low risk. Nobody wants radiation. So, but if the ultrasound comes back kind of kooky, we're going to get a CAT scan. I
Yeah.
want to look at your parts. I want to
Yeah.
see what's going on there. Do you have like a restriction in your
Mm-hmm.
esophagus? Do
Mm-hmm.
you have like an abscess on your intestine? Is that the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Mm,
have endometriosis that went on walkabout all over your pelvic cavity? That can
mm,
happen. So what is going on? So
yeah.
the doing basic blood work, doing food allergy testing, and then doing a poop test, you're at less than $1,000 right there, and you've
Yep.
got a lot of good, very actionable data that you can take to a non-functional doc and be like, I got this. What can you
Mhm.
help me with this?
Yeah,
So
sure. Yeah, wow. So those are really great places to start, and it definitely is going to give some good data points, like you said, for someone to be able to piece together the puzzle and know a little bit more than just guessing and shooting in the dark. So
don't
super
use the
helpful.
force.
Yes, yes. So what is the difference between a prebiotic and probiotic? A lot of folks get confused about this and don't quite understand the purpose or the use
Sure.
for them. So can you just walk us through that a little bit?
So a probiotic is actually taking bacteria into your body. So in a tablet, in a liquid, somehow in your body. The prebiotic is the food that feeds those guys. They like fiber. They like carbs, but they like fiber. They have the ability to break down fiber that we can't, like all the non-absorbable fiber. The bacteria think that's the bee's knees. So anything with fiber, be it broccoli or whole grain bread or even rice. So not rice when you first make it, rice after you've made it, refrigerated it, and ate it the next day, becomes a resistant starch. You and I won't absorb the carbs out of it, but the bacteria in our gut will think that that is a fiesta going on in there. They think that's great because they can break it all down. And for them, it's much simpler to eat.
Okay, thank you for that. All
Yeah.
right, so I want to jump into because I know we could cover this for several sessions, and and I know we're getting short on time here. So, can you just a high level, what are some of the downsides of not prioritizing our gut health?
Oh my gosh.
I know I'm giving you the soapbox moment. Go for
Yeah,
it.
well, it's hard. I mean, the flip answer is it's all the things. The non-flip answer is it's just a couple things. So it is so easy to get to our gut. Obviously, colonoscopy, and everybody's got a gut, and everybody's aware of their gut, be it because it's noisy or it's gassy or it's bloaty. Like it's one of those things we can be in contact, not contact with, but we're aware of. It's not like my kneecap. Like I know where my kneecap is, but I'm not in contact with my kneecap, but my belly's right here. I know what's going on, and if I eat a whole bunch of food, like you eat a like at Thanksgiving, you'll sit there and like rub your belly. Oh, I'm so full, and you're so happy about it. But then like
Yes,
another day, you're like, I could eat a buffalo. I haven't eaten in
right.
12 hours. Oh my gosh. We're very in touch with our guts. So I don't, it's like all the things. I don't know. That's one of those. If you don't prioritize your gut health, you're putting yourself at risk for all the things. Like, for example, there are people who can get skin cancer in their gut because
Mm,
you're just a giant straw. So that means
wow.
the inside is the outside and the outside is the inside. In fact, when you were in your mom's belly and you were just a few cells, this is kind of a joke, but your butthole formed first and you were a straw. So everybody at some
Mm.
point was an asshole at one point. But that really plays into our gut came first. Like we didn't have a brain, we didn't have a heart, but we had a gut first.
Right.
So you
Wow.
have to make a priority of your gut, be it taking probiotics, being very mindful of fiber, getting tested, going for your colonoscopies, do the oh, what the heck is that stupid test? The blood test that it's not a blood test, but it's a blood on the poop test. It's basically like a card. Everybody
Mm,
thinks that here's your card for your blood poop test, and everybody thinks you're doing things. I hate that test. It doesn't really show anything.
mhm.
But it's doing something better than nothing. But take it seriously. Like I said,
Right.
I've had 40 and 50-year-old friends who have had colon cancer and have died
Mm,
and shouldn't have.
mm,
And if your gut's weird, go get it checked out. Because my friend who
mm.
passed away had very symptoms you just could have blown off. And so did my friend who didn't blow them off until I mean I yelled at her several times going, please go see the doctor. And she
Yeah.
did have colon cancer.
Mm,
But she
wow.
survived, but my other friend did not.
Mm. Ugh.
So
Very good information for sure.
and
All
colon
right.
cancer is crazy curable, like 95%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so that's
it's as
really
good as breast cancer curable. So please go get checked out.
uh, all right. So I'm going to jump in. Want to hit one more area before we wrap up today. Can you share some of the myths or misinformation about gut health?
Yeah, one of them is you don't need probiotics.
Mm,
So that's one of my favorites. So my appendix exploded and I almost died. And so as a result, in humans, so this is not cows or anything, in humans, your appendix acts like your bank of your bacteria.
okay.
So I don't have one. So now I have to regularly take probiotics. So one of the things I tell everybody is when you get probiotics, pay attention to the brand and the type. So say you get like Garden of Life for women over 50.
Mhm,
Do the run of that probiotic and then pick a different one, different brand, different type. So now you pick Claire, their probiotic for Thursdays. I don't know. You
mhm,
pick a different brand in a different house because that way, even though they're both going to have lactobacillus and bifidus, all the things, they start to species out where the species at Garden of Life is just a little bit different than the one at Claire. Not that
mhm,
they're one's better than the other, but they start to be different. And like everything in your gut, you want as many different kinds of friends in there and the largest volume as you can get to stay put in there for as
mhm,
long as you can. So I always tell people like change your probiotics.
mhm. Okay.
The other one is or clean produce does matter. So wash your produce just like you wash your hands, you wash your produce. Even if it's organic, it still might have dirt and bugs and all sorts of nonsense in it. And being in New England right now, there's 17 million ticks on every damn thing. So wash your produce. Make sure you're not introducing things that are unnecessary.
Mhm,
If you're a person who has an immune issue for whatever reason, cook your food well to kill any bacteria that's in there. And if there is a recall on some sort of a like a deli meat or something, you are not stronger than bacteria. There's a reason why when you die, you turn into goo. It's because the bacteria got you in the end. They will get you in the end. So don't
mhm.
don't think that they are casually just little itty bitties. They are
Yes.
serious. They will get you in the end. They don't mess around. Bacteria and fungus will always get us in the end.
Oh,
So,
all right. Well, here we go. We're gonna wrap up now. I'm gonna give you the floor to give us your one message that you want to share with our listeners about gut health. I know you've shared probably a couple of them throughout, but if you could
yeah.
say one thing to the listeners, what is it gonna be?
Um, well, there's a lot. One of the things I tell my patients all the time is if it's not a food that your ancestors would know from 150 years ago, you probably shouldn't eat it because a lot of the food we have right now has all sorts of franken chemicals. It's super processed. It's got all sorts of stuff in it that our bodies have no business doing. Like we insult our liver regularly, and you
Mhm,
only got one liver. You got two kidneys, but you only got one liver, and getting a transplant on a liver is super hard. Like, don't put garbage in the system.
mhm,
don't um don't eat as much sugar as you want because that's one of the things that there's not enough talk about fructose out there right now.
mhm,
Fructose particularly wallops your liver, and fructose is in everything that had fat in it that they removed. They now put fructose in, and
mhm.
so now your poor little liver is being at risk for fatty liver disease, NASH, non-alcoholic fatty liver, so
Okay.
steatohepatitis. So, and that can kill you. Was that Coke worth it? Was all of that worth it? I don't know. Find somebody who understands food and how to eat for you, who will guide you through how to eat for you. Because again, what works for you won't work for me, won't
Mm-hmm.
work for your neighbor.
Sure.
And currently, providers don't have a lot of information about nutrition. But it is supposed to be in the current med school curriculum. So I'm excited to see how that all works. We'll see if that
Yeah.
how that flies. So find somebody who's willing to work for you. Most insurance companies will allow you to go to a nutritionist for so many times per year as part of your benefit. I would
Mm-hmm.
flex on that for sure, especially if you're doing something new. Like now all of a sudden you're lifting weights or you're pregnant or your dad got cancer and you don't want cancer. So what can you do now to prevent yourself from getting cancer? So
Mm-hmm.
you have resources. So
Perfect. All right, Dr. Wendy, share with our listeners how can they get in touch with you if they want to connect, reach out for more information, schedule an
yep.
appointment? Where do they find you?
Okay, so I work at my clinic, so that's Liberty Advanced Integrative Care. That's in Charlestown, Rhode Island, at the bottom of the state, the inky dinky estate in the Union, right off of 95. You can call the office. It's 401-854-7955, or and call, make an appointment, get a consult. I do virtual stuff as well as in person. You can also go out to the website. That's www.laic.net. And we are on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, all the things.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge and wisdom today. I'm going to have to listen to this episode a few times because it is packed with so much content
Yeah,
here. Yeah, for sure. And so for our listeners, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this
pleasure's
episode
mine.
of, yes, of Surviving the Human Experience. And until next time, be well and stay blessed.